Hello, everybody. It's been a while. You might have been wondering where I have been. Well, to put it lightly, the last video may have sparked some problems. I did go through Zach's binder and shared it to you all, and he may or may not have liked that, and so I may or may not have gotten into a court case which may or may not have gotten me in prison. So then I may or may or not gotten some cats that were very rabid and gave me rabies and sent me to the hospital and to delay all that. And then I may or may not have traveled the entire world, almost got killed 5 times, and I may have blown up the courthouse at the end. And I may have also made it into a thriller movie that you can see maybe in theaters. I don't know. I think that's what happened, but unfortunately, recently I did get my memories wiped from the past 2 years, so we're back, is all I'm saying. And a lot has changed for the galaxy. There's been new meta developments, there's been attempts at revival, and the game is kind of dying. But the fans will never die, and the fans have made a 65 card set because, unfortunately, another thing that's happened is Zach from the Chaos Galaxy is working on a new game, Evo, which fortunately is really cool. But unfortunately, it means that Chaos Galaxy is not getting support, and it's a really fun and unique game, different enough from Evo and different enough from any other card game that it should be preserved and continuously rethought upon. And there's some great cards to look over from this 65 card set. It's smaller than any other set before, but it packs such a punch. Let's first go through something that I think is going to give you kind of an idea of how the cards are going to shape the meta, and that's the ban list. Now, what happened is that there's been quite a few ban lists. I won't go through all of them, but I want to compare the most recent one to the one that we are going to have this format, or the recent one, I mean last year. In 2025, Goldfish Gallant wanted to shake up the meta, and so he decided to just ban as many slightly problematic cards as possible. So what we got here is just this is like Yu-Gi-Oh level banning. You got like Octorius. You got practically every Shape Knight is banned, like kind of. Like you got Octorius banned, Scorn banned, half banned, Strong On, half banned. This was this is gonna stay banned actually, and as you can see in the new one, Trungalon is still banned. Trungalon's a big. We'll talk about why, but and Hexator did get unbanned, but then also Polygran got half banned. So like very interesting there, and this was like a new archetype. This is like the newest one from Zach. The other newest one is the Blue Flames, which are also incredibly broken. Like the Shape Knights are pretty broken, but these guys are incredibly, like the loop of Jacra with Laji to set it up and Undying Blue Flame is just killer. So what he decided to do is to unban Undying and Laji, and then ban Jacra, which is kind of the main damage dealer and whatever. But Shios overall was like just had a lot of good cards, so that's why like Max Sprout was banned and Scoryakir was half banned because they were just good at ramping up the deck. But the actually the Undying Blue Flame got banned again because actually Laji and Skrill, which is the other Blue Flames card, were still kind of problematic. So with the tower or whatever we call it, tower. Regardless. They tried to bring OTK back a bit by bringing back Bernard the Space Worm. Oh, yeah, and they also got rid of Moletown for Shios. And then there's like some other ones that like are considered like, so APC, a Perfect Circle is a big one, which use Serpent, which half banned, banned. Glah, and Glah was banned, so now you can't do that combo that gives you 2 cards and kills a creature. It got rid of Soul Shroom, which is just good for rainbow decks. Blaze Elixir was an interesting one. This one's been on and off the ban list, and it's been half banned again in this one. And then Super Flooper was banned because of Chaos decks, because it's pretty big in Chaos decks. Abandonment and Time Flash Portal have been like big removal cards, half banned. So it was basically just nerfing everything that we've seen from like the past 5 years of the meta. This is trying to just destroy it all. And I think this was interesting, but I don't think that the meta lasted long enough, or people were interested enough to really play it out, because like it just felt like things didn't really change after this, at least from what I observed. And the game was just kind of in a dud state. There was definitely some interesting things that happened, but a lot of it isn't recorded, and so I can't like go back on it and see what happened. But regardless, it's time for a fresh start. This is great, but when you're bringing new cards in, it's probably good to have less cards banned so that there's more variety. So that's when we get this. I'm going to bring up an even older one from 2020, like from even earlier, or I think it was 2024. Phantom Matter and Point Turret are kind of the big ones to look at here. These have always been problematic, and so they were finally banned in like 2024. Phantom Matter just gets a kill creature from your opponent, which can just be really broken and give you just like something, just gives you an easy way to play against your opponent. And Point Turret can win games by doing nothing. It steals points from your opponent. In other news, Shiosian Lava Mole is banned because it's an annoying activator card. Bernard the Space Worm is also back on the map. Both of them are just, so this one kills activators from your hand. Bernard blocks activators from being played. And I think the idea is that activators should be game changing. They should be able to do their thing instead of being kind of stopped by these. And I think that's like a good idea to look at them. That's why like so many of them are like half banned, is because some of them are really good, but they should also be game changing. So there shouldn't be too many counters. Another one that might be interesting is Lightbeam Rider. So this one says if you have zoned Syndian creature, you can cosplay the creature for 3 stars. Once per turn, if you have one zoned creature, you can have one zoned creature permanently lose 100 health and power for each of your zoned Syndian creatures. This is going to be incredibly broken. First of all, you can get it out pretty cheap. Second of all, Syndian does like playing big boards, which means that if you have like, I don't know, say, if you have 2 other creatures, you know, that's 200 power and health, which can, it's basically, it's using the attachment KO, which sets your, somebody's health to 0, but it's even worse because it basically like it makes a lot of cards obsolete just by having 2 other creatures on board. Good stat line too. Pretty problematic overall, so I'm glad that it's banned. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. These ones just are annoying. Upside Down Realm breaks OTK. Actually, this is a bit surprising because there are some cards that actually would have made OTK maybe even more consistent. So on the one hand, not surprising. On the other hand, it would have been fun to see maybe a bit of the old OTK. Everything else, this is annoying. This one gets you more cards like really easily. Annoying. Mystical Relic gets you a card but also kills a card, and killing cards in this game can be very problematic. So yeah. For limited, so as you can see, Darkstart Diabolos has always kind of been a bit of a problem. Only once. You can kill up to 4 cards from your top of your galaxy. Gain 1 star for each. If this creature is killed from your galaxy, gain 3 stars. So it's just a good way to ramp up stars. And Stendel Galaxied creatures are kind of a big deal. And then there's also like the idea of the mill deck where you're just milling and milling to gain resources more easily and also like deal more damage and whatever. It's a very weird deck, but this one is just star economy. It kind of sort of breaks it. It's also a good stat line for being a 6-star. Just overall, just a pretty good card. So having it at 1 copy is fine. Shape Knight Tronglon. This is part of the Shape Knights deck, and I think the main reason that it's half banned is because this creature's power is 30 times its stars, which is okay. When this creature is cosplayed, you can kill 1 Galaxied 1 to 3-star Shape Knight creature to add 1 Galaxied 4 to 6-star Shape Knight creature to your hand. This is just really good for getting like Hexator out and Scorn out. Scorn is a big problem. That's why it was like half banned, because it's really annoying. Hexator is also very good because it kills zone creature by free playing it. Activation Activated Activator finally got into a half banned state. I think having 2 is, again, it goes with the problem of there being too many counters to activators. So just having 1 at least gives the player a chance and a choice, but it makes them think for it, which I think is very smart and a very good, healthy way to play the game. Relihex Mine is one of those problematic, like, you can gain cards really easily, except it's not as problematic because it's just 1 card instead of 2. And it's when your opponent's turn ends. And it's an activator. Whatever. And Undying Flu Flame is going to be limited to 1, which is good because the combo is kind of broken. And only having 1 to... there's enough counters that I'd say to make Undying Blue Flame. And actually, in the set, in just a second, you're going to see some cards that just make it a lot harder for resources to do their thing. Only having 1 in circulation is good. And everything else is pretty self-explanatory. You got some big removal, board wipes, stuff like that. Warpole, just keeping Pally in check. For Sale Sign, I mean, you can steal your opponent's creature. You have to pay for it, but it's good. Anyway, without further ado, 15 minutes in. This is going to be a long one. All 65 cards. Here we go. Scorched Starfish. We're starting out with Shios. We're going to go in planet order, planet from the sun. So Shios is the closest to the canonical sun. Anyway, I'd say Shios kind of got the short end of the stick. I'd say definitely one of the shorter sticks. Scorched Starfish can hit for 2, add a 3-star, and up to thrice per turn when this creature's power changes, gain 2 stars. This is good for star economy. You can do it 3 times, which means that you can, in 1 turn, you can get 6 stars if you keep changing the power. I think there's ways to change power, but it's like there's not enough. Shios's ability does it, but not to even like max it out, like you have to be very particular with it. And this thing is not going to stay probably for more than a turn unless you bring it out like really early in the game. So I could see it maybe getting put into the Shios pool, but it's difficult to say if this is really going to make a splash. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I should probably explain my ratings to you. So basically anything 3 and below I consider bad. Different varying levels of bad. 4 is like maybe just good enough to see some play. 5 is decent. 6 is okay. 7 is good. 8 is great. 9 is like pretty dang amazing. And 10 is perfect, which I don't think any of these get to perfect stats. But it's basically just looking at the potential of them to shake up the meta. And I'd say that this one is just kind of like, it could do something, probably not. But by far the worst card out of the entire set, I'm going to have to give it to Kraken. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. But it's a 2-star. It does have 160 health, which means that it can survive most 1 to 2 or 1 and 2 stars, maybe a few 3 stars. But its ability makes it difficult to even justify having it. Once per turn, when your opponent's turn ends, you can kill the top card of your Galaxy. Then if it's a creature, free play that creature. So this is cool. I think the biggest thing that this can do is not for Shias, but for Teklar. You can definitely set up like a creature to easily free play. But it's when your opponent turn ends. And do you really think that Kraken is going to be able to survive your opponent's turn? Maybe. But there's a decent chance that they will want to get it off the board. And so I don't see a lot of reason of playing this. This is a 3 out of 10. It's good in theory because it could do this. But the stat line makes it easy to kill. And it works for Teklar more than Shias, which I think is just kind of funny. But yeah. Flamebeak. So this one, for a 5-star, it's kind of a whatever stat line. Kind of gives me Eden Protector vibes. Like it has like okay stat line as a 5-star, and it has like a decent ability. After an opponent's ability is used and Shias is your planet, you can kill one of your zone creatures to kill one of your opponent's creatures. Also, free play each to their owner's planet when your next turn ends. So this is basically Time Flash Portal, but for a creature. You just kind of have to trade some creatures. This is possibly good because it can, if you have a 3-card board, this is a lot better because it can make you, it can make it easier to attack planet in a single turn because you just get rid of one of them, and then you could even use another removal, and then you could attack with Flamebeak and another card. But like Flamebeak, like I mean, of course, putting this down, definitely you can do some cool stuff with it. But like the stat line, and even the cost, like I feel like stuff like Mag Sprout and Scoria Carrier can just do a lot more without needing the removal. Just bring Time Flash Portal. Honestly, you don't need Flamebeak. 5 out of 10. Fried Fraxel Legs. Okay, so this is like the only good quote-unquote Shias card because it isn't even like really about Shias anyway. But it's good for Shias anyway. One of your zone creatures gains 200 power, but it cannot attack planets until the end of its turn. Also, when it attacks and kills a creature, gain 4 stars. So this is good because you gain 200 power and you can't attack the planet. Okay. But 200 power is a lot in terms of getting over a lot of stat lines. 200 power is massive. Like you could, like with your Pelfam, you can kill anything. With your, I mean, even with like things like, you could trade into Beast of the Conjurers with Thorngobork, which is pretty random, but like it's pretty neat. And you also gain 4 stars, which is really great for the star economy, just by killing a creature. And then if it stays on the board, then heck, why not go for the planet? It's just, I think this is a really good stat boosting card. There's another one that's an attachment that I think it will also be pretty good. And so I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I just think in some decks, especially the ones that are more aggro, this could definitely see, especially for Shias. I mean, it's just good ramping for the stars, and the power is just, it hits a lot. Scoria Carrier goes from 160 to 360. Like, that's pretty massive. Okay. This one, though, this one's a doozy. Burrow Drunk King of the Burrow Bugs. We're going into Barrow, and this might be the best Barrow card ever created. Power is 310, health is 470, so you could hit for 5. And it's just a good stat line. Like, gosh, for 8 stars, man. For 8 stars, you get this thing out. Massive. Because to play this card, you must kill one other-handed Barrow creature. Works perfectly for the Burrow Bugs. So you can, this is easy. You kill the one and you get the effect, and then once per turn, while it's on the board, which it'll probably stick on the board for maybe a bit, because when an opponent's card ability resolves and each player has a handed card, at least one, you can change that ability to each player kills one-handed card. After this handed card is killed by an ability, gain 5 stars. This is just crazy. So first of all, you can play it normally like a burrow bug creature. You can do the combo, really sick. And that's how you have to play it, which is great. Because then when it's on the board, basically both players just will kill a card. But for burrow bugs, that's really great. And so you do have to do it kind of wisely. But this basically blocks any activator, any, just any removal you can block. You can block so many things with this. You basically null an ability. And there's a lot of good abilities that you can null, and it just costs a card from each player. So you're also punishing the player. I think the one deck that might be able to like hard counter this is Roka's like temp floaty, or the one that like where you just have no cards in your hand and then you benefit off of it. Anyway, after this handed card is killed by an ability, gain 5 stars, which is great because that's likely going to be the way that this thing gets killed. Other than maybe Polysium could probably do some work. Otherwise, 9.5 out of 10 card, just near perfect. I think like the one thing that might hold it back from being perfect is there's just enough like stuff that you have to do to make it work, but it's definitely going to make burrow bugs a beast in this format. Not only that, but you get Burrow Matriarch. When your opponent plays a creature with 5 or more Soul Stars, kill one-handed burrow bug creature to kill one zone card. Great removal, it does make me a little worried because there's technically you can only have like pretty much 6 burrow bugs that you can kill. You could also technically kill Queen, but like 7 out of 10 because there might be too much, killing burrow bugs to, like you might run out of burrow bugs by the time this comes into play or whatever. Still a good card. Anyway, Rock Muncher. This guy's interesting. When you play this creature while you control another zoned barrow creature, gain stars equal to one of your zoned barrow creatures. Gosh dang. This is good for the star economy. Of course, it can't stick around for long. He'll probably just bring it out, gain some stars. I don't really think like this is gonna do anything crazy. I feel like this is just kind of a waste of a card slot. So it's like a 5 out of 10. But I mean, good star economy. So Barosaurus. So this is the only that's his head, by the way. The only one without an ability. But I think it makes sense. It's a 5-star with 4 that can swing for 5, which is like not something that most 5-stars can do normally. And 280, which is decent. It can definitely keep itself from getting killed if it switches by a lot of creatures. I don't know if it'll see that much play. 6 out of 10. I mean, it's a pretty neat concept to have like something that's fairly cheap and can hit swing for 5. Regardless, Possessed Sarcogavus, or whatever the frick, power 120, health 280, 5 stars. When this creature's power and health swap free, play one of your killed 4-star or lower barrow creatures. This one is really neat because it does bring out a lot of options. You got like Dead, you got the burrow bugs who have good stat lines. You got a lot of options to choose from with 4-star or lower. The only issue, I think, the biggest issue actually, is because you're going to be swapping health with this, it's only once per turn for Barrow. Barrow you can only do it once, which means that if you bring out something like Dead, it's just going to stick to its like wall status, which is okay. But I mean, this can hit for 3, which is fine. 5 stars, it kind of makes it kind of like a planet racer. I think sort of like it's similar in the where you're kind of trying to combo or trying to get a weaker card or whatever. 6 out of 10. And then finally, Elite Unggung. Yo, this is so cool. If you have 2 kill Unggung, you can free play this ended card. When this play this way, kill 2 creatures. When the zone creature is killed, you can free play up to 2 killed star Unggung creatures. This is really neat. It makes Unggung decks kind of viable. I'd say the stat line is pretty mediocre. I mean, it's 5 stars, so it's good for 5 stars, but like, I mean, this is Elite Unggung, guys. On the other hand, you do get a free Galaxy Crash, so I'll give it to them. And the biggest weakness is that if Unggung gets shuffled back into the deck, you're cooked. But I think it would be interesting to see a Barrow deck that maybe uses some Burrow bugs, but then like gives like an Elite Unggung thing on the side, like basically like plays 2 different things. Because I mean, killing 2 zone creatures is crazy. 6 out of 10 though. I don't know if this is gonna be like big, but I'd love to see an Unggung deck. All right, good old Sindel, and we got some Gatomic support. So this is Gatomic Swirldle. Power 230, health 160 for a 4-star. Decent stat line, nothing crazy. When this card is free played by the ability Key, add one of your killed Gatomic creatures or go to your hand, then draw a card. This is pretty good in terms of Gatomics. It allows you to recycle, which I think is something Gatomics sort of need, especially getting Gatomic Gi back, the 400 stat line. Definitely a good thing. And drawing 1 card means it's good at any point in the game. And getting go out goes pretty good too. So it's good that you have that option. 7 out of 10, pretty good for the Gatomics. Gatomic Scourge. Power 270, health 210 for a 6-star. Kind of a whatever stat line. It's pretty decent for a 6-star, but like the ability definitely does a lot of the work. When this card is played, you can free play 1 Galaxy Gatomic creature except Gatomic Scourge. If this card was free played by the ability Geese, treat the free played creature as if it were also played by the ability Gi. So it allows you, this is just a very good early game card and allows you to activate some of the Gatomic's abilities really early on. I think the biggest problem with Gatomics is, first of all, their stat lines are nothing to write home about, except for, I'd say, Gatomic Gi. And then also, I think the biggest problem that they have is their abilities sometimes are just not worth it, and sometimes they are worth it, but they're just like okay. And they have like some setbacks. So 5 out of 10. I think it could definitely help Gatomics do better, but I'm a little worried that this isn't gonna be enough, because these are the only 2 Gatomic cards, and they're mostly just helping set up other Gatomic cards. And I feel like it would have been cool if we saw another Gatomic card that was a bit more aggressive. But I think these definitely, I think they make Gatomic a little more viable. And Gatomic Wave Transmitter also could do this as well. So kill 1 Galaxy Gatomic creature or Gi. At the end of your turn, all played Gatomic creatures are treated as if they were played by the ability of Gi. This is just really good because it just allows you to easily activate abilities without the need and reliance on Gi, and works well with Sindel's abilities. So 7 out of 10. So overall, I think Gatomic support is really good for making it more consistent and speeding up the play style a bit, but it'll be interesting if it even gets relevant. Okay, we got Shadowrunner. So I got Tribite over here because it's sort of like Tribite. It's far more powerful, I would say. Power 390 can hit for 4. Not a lot of health, so once it dies, it dies. However, once you play it, when your turn ends, play this card as a permanent resource into one of your empty resource zones. When your turn starts, if this card is a permanent resource, free play it if you can't kill it. This is really like sweet because not only does it block a resource zone, but it just keeps flipping back and forth. I think there's enough removal to make it die, but which I'd say like it's borderline great, but I think right like there's enough that you can do to get rid of it pretty easily. But for what it is, it can definitely deal some damage. Flaming Minos. This one's pretty good. 230, 200 stat line for 5 health. Okay. But when this creature is killed by an ability, kill the top 4 cards of each player's galaxy. You can shuffle 3 of your other killed Sindel creatures into the galaxy, then free play this killed creature. So, first of all, works well with Sindel. And so you kind of want to hope that it's in there. But even with that, if it does get killed on the field, which I don't know, I feel like in some ways there's more of a chance that you can get it killed in your galaxy. You sacrifice 4 to bring in 3. It's a bit of a risk, for sure. But like in late game, that can be insane. Even mid game. So 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. I think it's gonna make Sindel pretty powerful. And then you got Vile, 8 stars. Really good stat line, 360, 400. And once per turn, when your opponent free plays a creature, you can either free play one of your killed 4-star solo cell creatures or kill that creature. This is crazy. It combats so many different decks that rely on free playing. I mean, that's like, let's think about it. Like that's like Jacra. And it's got a good stat line to boot. Definitely expensive though. But like definitely like a 7.5 out of 10. It's very close to being like just like really, really great. I think it's just maybe a bit costly, which makes sense. But and it has options for how you use it. But really like it's specifically against free playing. So it's like kind of a 50-50 depending on what deck you're looking at. And then we got Summon from Below. Shuffle 2 to 5 of your killed Sindel creatures into your galaxy to cosplay one galaxy Sindel creature with a different name, whose stars equal the shuffled creature's total stars. This is crazy because it's just Flaming Minos, except instead of having to kill cards off the top of your deck, you not only recycle, but you also get like that free play, which is very important. Now, of course, the biggest downside is stars who equal the shuffle creature's total stars, but I think this is great because as long as you're thinking smart enough, you can bring out something pretty crazy. You could bring out like literal Cerberus. You could bring out Skelequeen, and you could get the Skellies out really quick too. Just good stuff. Actually, that's something I forgot to say about Flaming Minos. Another reason why it's good is because it keeps the Skelly archetype from getting destroyed. But anyway, the Great Resurrection would kill one galaxy creature, then free play one of your other killed creatures with the same name. So this is even better for Skellies because it's just like if your gas gets killed, then your gas comes back pretty much. Or it kind of does kind of the bridge. I mean, you can see this kind of bridge because it is pretty much like you basically if you still have one in your deck, you can kill, or you can it's a weird oddly specific card. It's 6 out of 10 because it is oddly specific, but I think it could work in some situations. It could even be like a Gla situation, or I don't know. There's like definitely ways that you can play with it. Anyway, Syndion itself didn't really get a lot of support, which is fine because the Shape Knights, but I think a different deck that uses a specific Syndion creature definitely got some great stuff. Little Star. This creature's power and health are equal to the total stars of all creatures times 20. This is pretty much a better Spear, which I love Spear, but it's basically better because like that one was all about stat gain based on what's happening on the board. This thing is the same thing for 1 star instead of 2, and yeah, I think it's cute. But Thenenbus, on the other hand, 2 star, When your opponent moves a creature into a battle zone, you can change one of your zone creatures' health to 10 to gain 3 stars. Then free play this handed creature. See, basically, this is really good for a lot of things. Literally, if a deck has something where you're playing with, if you're playing with like the flaming, the Chakra, which has 10 health, or if you're playing with an upcoming archetype that has 10 health, like this is just a free 3 stars for like nothing. And then you also free play it, and it can hit for 2, and it's just like it's a neat little thing. 6.5 out of 10. It's almost good. I think like it's not gonna. I mean, free playing the Nimbus, not crazy. 3 stars is neat. It can only work specifically with a couple of things, but really cool. Starship Engineer. Now this is where we get spicy. So Bugonk, it has this cool thing where Bugonk can attack a planet without needing to attack creatures in front of it. Of course, it's weak, but by using Starship XXS, which changes your power to 400, and Blaze Elixir, which allows you to attack twice, you can literally deal like 8 points a turn. Now, when you cosplay this creature, you can add 1 Galaxy Killed Starship XXS to your hand. Very nice. It not only can it recycle, but Starship, we can also take Starship out. It's just a free way to get that out there. 9 out of 10, man. Really good. But what's even better is Summon Protector. Attached only to a 1-star creature, the attached creature can't be killed. The turn player can kill one-handed 1-star creature to deal this card. This is insane. It's just crazy. You can block it, so you can block people from doing anything so easily just by doing this. And it doesn't even have to be used for Bugonk. There's definitely like you could use it in a Gaius deck where there's a couple 1-stars. It could be crazy. Cloud Cells is a weird card, and I think there's just a lot of correlation. Like you can manipulate stars, which could be interesting interaction, and I just want to bring that out there because like what happens if you put this on the Summon Protector card? Like does it become like I don't even know. 9 out of 10, man. This is insane for 1-star creatures, especially Bugonk. One other counter that might be interesting, and also something that might be interesting for like Gaius decks, is Oversized Stilts. Well, this attached creature is the only creature on your planet. Your opponent can attack your planet directly. So as long as like Bugonk is the only one on the planet, I mean, this is a good counter. It's also good for Bugonk because that means nobody can kill it. So it's like it's a 50-50 in that department. 7 out of 10. I mean, it's pretty good. I think it's a little more specific. Might be too resource heavy. But cool. And Tiny Vortex just adds to this perfection. Pay 3 stars to add 3 Galaxy/Kill creatures whose stars are 4 or less. It has to be, it's very specific. You have to pay 3 stars, and you have to add 3 Galaxy Kill creatures whose stars are 4 or less. So basically, it's very finite. So 7 out of 10. It's very specific, but it's good for recycling. All right, now we're to Teklar, and we got a new fresh thing over here. Cyber Bugonk, the Cybers. Your zone cyber creatures can attack your opponent's planet, even if your opponent has zone creatures. Very weak, but this is a good ability. And basically does something like Bugonk, where you can attack the planet even if there's creatures, except, it works for other creatures. So 6 out of 10, I think this will be definitely like pretty decent. But it can be killed pretty easily. Cyber Moosh works with this well. You can free play this handed creature by killing one of your zone cyber cards. Now, you wouldn't want to kill Bugonk, but if you do, remove all your opponent's battle zones. So not only can you attack directly, but it also just slows down your opponent. You can hit for 4. It's and again, you can free play it if you want, or you can cosplay it. 7 is not is very nice for like what it provides. Although you don't get the battle zones, but I'd say like a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. But the real winner here is Cyber Kubox, because it's got 130, 120, and 3 stars. But when this zone creature is killed, like Moosh, you can free play 1 different 4-star or lower Teklar creature, or add 1 killed Cyber Factory to your hand. This can actually start a loop. 8 out of 10. This is a great card because it also can work for any like 4-star or lower Teklar creatures. So it's just good for like bringing out cards. Cyber Factory. Once per turn, you can add 1 killed cyber creature to your hand. So this brings back Moosh. So you basically have this loop where it's a very technical loop, but it's also smart. So kills Kubox, bring in Moosh, remove battle zones. Moosh does its thing, and then Cyber Kubox brings back Cyber Factory. Moosh dies. Cyber Factory not only can bring that, but as long as it sticks there, I mean, it can bring back Kubox. So 7 out of 10. Of course, the one thing I'm always worried about with permanent resources is removal. But I think this is a really good for what it provides for being a permanent resource. Cyber Belt, add 1 Galaxy Cyber to the hand except for Cyber Belt. 6 out of 10. I mean, gets those cybers out. There's not enough cybers that this will be like crazy, but it's good. It's good. And this was all done by Sprite. I think Sprite definitely made a really cool archetype with this, really cool loop. And I think it's just a good package that can be used with a lot of other Teklar creatures and whatever. Shout out to all the artists. No, we're kind of halfway through this. Sprite. You got Professor Dead doing a lot of work. Secret 27 ran this whole thing. Thank you, Secret 27. Harry, the Knight, did some stuff. He loves Teklar, so I'm not surprised this is here. Toxida. There's also, if you've seen any of these like absolutely crazy realistic art or semi-realistic arts, that's from Nezo. Really crazy artist. Shout out to him. Yeah, just a shout out to all the people who worked on this. Toxida. Yes. Okay, 2 stars. When this creature is killed by an attack, you can put 2 of your killed Tekrai creatures with 5 or less stars on top of your galaxy in any order, except this card. Really good for recycling. It does have to get killed by an attack, so that's kind of just maybe a little bit of a womp maybe. But it does it allows you Teklar's biggest strength is allowing to manipulate the deck to be able to know exactly what you're doing with your deck. Exactly, like you can plan so far in ahead because you'll have so much more deck knowledge. So this is really good for that. I think the attack brings it down maybe a little bit. And there's just some specificities, 5-star or less. But I think it's a very healthy card. Not crazy, but it's going to be crazy. Hinge Snake, though. Oh, boy. Thank you, Washed, for the art, by the way. When this creature is cosplayed, you can look at the top 5 cards of your galaxy and put them back in any order. Holy crap. Dude, okay. So, the Chaos Beast for this one, the Hydrogen of Teklar. Dude, that one basically does this when it gets killed. Except this one, you cosplay it and you get to do it. You get to put the top 5 cards you got in. But it's 3 stars. I mean, this is just a cheap and easy way to manipulate your deck. I think this is going to be a staple for Teklar. And then you got this really fun combo. Dr. Techstein. Your opponent can now attack your other zone Teklar creatures. Which is like, okay, well, this thing gets killed pretty easily. But 1 per turn, you can free play one of your killed the monster. So 7 out of 10, because you got to have a monster to make it work. Monster has 400. It is 7 stars, but if you're doing this sort of combo, then it kind of works. So it can't really it can hit for 3, which is good, but your opponent cannot attack your other zone Teklar creatures. A very good protector card. I think it does something for Teklar, similar to Cindy. I think that's a cool thing because Teklar is all about like the utopia of all the planets. So I think this is cool where it's kind of trying to do a Cindian sort of thing, through its ability. It's an 8 out of 10. I think this would be very interesting to see what people could do with this because it can protect anything. You have to kill it first, which can, if you have like a 3-card board, this can be pretty crazy with some of the crazy 3 cards, especially like some of the ones that we have here. Like I'm very interested to see if this it might even just be the monster. I don't even know if Dr. Textine will be played, but it's something I think this is something that Zach always could not figure out is like, what's the identity of Teklar? And I think this is what it is. It is really just manipulating things to go exactly the way you want them to. Just being able to plan like 10 turns out. Anyway, then we got Wind Up Toy. So Teklar also got some crazy support cards. Look at the top 5 cards of your galaxy. Reveal any number of Teklar creatures / combiner cards amongst them. Then shuffle them into your galaxy and place that many galaxy Teklar creatures / combiner cards on top of your galaxy in any order. If you use this in tandem with Hinge Snake, it could be crazy. I think this will be. It's borderline great because I think the only issue is like it's could be a gamble depending on what happens. It's five cards is a big spend for it. Again, manipulation. I think it's borderline great, but we'll see. Trash to Treasure. Kill the top 3 cards of your galaxy, then apply the following abilities depending on the number of creatures killed. So I think this is like good for like mill decks because it allows you to do something with your milling, I guess. This is also good maybe for Sindel. But for Teklar, you can manipulate it all, which means that you can very specifically get the best bang for your buck. 6.5 out of 10. Borderline great. I think like it's definitely a cost. I think something that holds all resources back is like there's no way to really recycle them that well. Works well with like Wind Up Toy and Hinge Snake, where it's like you can put the top 3 cards that you don't really want, and it could actually make Kazarax even better. I don't even know. Kazarax might actually see it come back. Anyway, this is also like one of those OTK cards. Professor De loves OTK, so no surprise. So Nezo, as I said, crazy art. After this card attacks, gain 2 points. So basically it means you can just attack into any character, but it basically just sucks the blood out of them, giving you 2 points. Your opponent also loses 1 point. When this card is killed, you can pay 1 point to add 1 galaxy. So basically, it's a net game of 1 point and a net loss. It's actually a net game of 2 points, technically a 2-point difference. And then if you save your points, it's a 3-point difference because your opponent loses 1 point. And then add 1 Galaxy Third Spud card to your hand. Good for setting up what's to come. 8 out of 10. Really sick. Thirstspud Pupa cannot be killed by battle during your turn. After this card attacks, gain 2 points. So it's the same thing, except this time when this card is killed, you can pay 1 point to add 1 different killed Thirstspud card. So it basically just loop. Sort of. Actually, it can specifically, so you got the 8 out of 10, and it can loop this one, the Sovereign. If Gaius is your planet, this card can't be killed by battle. So this one is crazy because it can't be killed no matter what. But up to twice to return, after a player loses a point, you can either gain 3 points, holy, or kill one's own card. So as you're looping Pupa and Wriggler, pretty much, honestly, you just loop Pupa because whatever. You loop Pupa, and then gain 3 points, and then if anything becomes threatening, You can kill one's own card. Although this can't be killed by battle, not just during your turn, but like 9 out of 10, man. Like this is crazy. It could do some really big work. I'm very scared to see how this could manifest in Gaia's decks. And of course, it had to get some support cards. When one of your Gaia's creatures is killed by an ability, which is what the Thirst Bugs do, and even like this is just good generic for Gaia's, because Gaia's is all about Gaia's does kill by ability quite a bit. You can either gain 1 point or gain that creature's stars. I of course I think gain that creature's stars in the context of Gaia's, where there isn't a lot of like big star creatures, is like it's okay. But gain 1 point is decent too. I'd say 7.5. It's borderline good because depending on the context, it could be good, and it's permanent, which is neat. But yeah, we'll see. Thirst Bug Drainage, when an opponent's card / ability is played / used, which is like very generalized. Pay 4 points to cancel one zone card's abilities until the end of the turn. This is just very specifically good for the Thirst Bugs, because as you're just racking up all those points by doing practically nothing except using abilities, it gives you sort of a point economy to then, because this is just an easy way to cancel something like Beast of the Black Hole or something. 8 out of 10. Very good support card. Anyway, Gaia's also got some really cool other cards. Drop Bear. This card is cosplayed. You can kill one zone attachment / resource card, which is like, I don't know. This is just a solid attachment / resource removal card, especially for Gaia's, which it's just good for what it does. I'd say a 7 out of 10. Pointing Bug. Each time a Gaia's creature is played or its ability is used, except the ability of Pointing Bug, gain 1 point. This will be solid for Thirst Bugs. But it's just a good like passive star gaining card. It's a bit expensive. It's also a bit but of course it's got the 240. Like this has to be like the smallest creature with the most stats or whatever. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. Just a good passive thing. Very cool. A very cool point gaining card. And then Sporaptor is kind of the big one here. The big baddie, the 6 stars, 340, 170. Very good stat line for Gaia's. Once per turn, you can draw 1 card for every other zoned Gaia's creature. Whew. That is good because card economy is great. I don't know if this is going to stick around that long. It's 170. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's going to be good for its immediate thing when it gets put down on the... and 3 card boards... I mean, that's an easy 2-card game. All right, now we're to Roka. We did get a new Relihex creature, sort of. It's interesting. So Relihex like stuff is just it's a very interesting like type of card. But this kind of does something different. It's 3 stars, whatever stat line, 90, 180. When this creature is played, you can place any number of your handed cards at the bottom of your galaxy, and if you do, draw that many cards at the end of this turn. Roka definitely plays into the idea of using handed cards a lot, like the looking at your opponent's handed cards, and I think it also works for manipulating your hand to just... Yeah, like if you have a bad hand, this just really refreshes it. This is just like and I feel like a lot of card games have this sort of thing. So, and actually, technically speaking, Chaos Galaxy does with there's this like mystical relic that allows both players to recycle their entire hand. But like this is like, and there's like I think all the mystical relics do something similar. Except for spoons maybe, but this is a creature that does it, and I think it does it a lot better than the other one. 7 out of 10. Soaring Spong Bird. So this is another archetype for Roka, which is great because Roka needs more cool things. This one's crazy. Your handed Roka creatures cost 2 less stars for each revealed card in your opponent's hand. So when you set this up, you can practically free play creatures without free playing them. So without like the risks of free playing them. 8 out of 10 because it is a solid start. It doesn't have a lot of staying power, but it can definitely set up a crazy board. A part of that is the other soaring cards. So the Seabird has 190 for 4 stars, which is pretty solid. And when your opponent reveals one-handed card, you can add 1 Galaxy soaring card or non-creature card that mentions Roka to your hand. Which is just like, there's a lot of cards that mention Roka in terms of being able to do a lot more with your deck. 7 out of 10 though. It is just a little specific. But Starbird is where it's at. 290, 300. Kind of, it's pretty good for a 6-star. And when cosplaying this creature, you can also kill one of your zone Roka creatures and gain its stars. So, which is great because Roka relies on a lot of cosplay. So you could make up the 6 stars or whatever. And when played in this way, kill one of your opponent's zoned creatures. So this is just a solid way to wrap up the archetype because you get more stars and you kill one of the opponent's zone creatures, and that just allows for some pretty powerful boards. And also, like, again, Songbird really sets up a lot of potential because Soaring Skies, on the other hand, slows down the playing field a lot. Neither player can free play creatures. This breaks a lot of decks if it's out and about. This breaks quite a few decks, like the Jacra and a lot of card abilities and Pelisium. It's gonna be crazy. And it's good for something cost play heavy like Roka. Unless you're playing Scardians. But if you're playing Scardians, then like frick you. You got that. And Roka also got some really amazing support cards here. Dustblower Spirit. Overall, just kind of like a whatever. But then you can free play this handed creature by shuffling 2 of your opponent's killed creatures into their galaxy. Which again, this is like crazy because some decks rely on killed creatures, so I think this is really cool. But is there really a reason why you would be playing this? 7.5 out of 10. Like, I can break decks, but like, is it really gonna? I don't know. I don't think. I think really where it's at is Cloudcatcher. Much better stat line for what it is. It can swing for 2, and 3 stars, and when an opponent's ability would add a card to their hand. Which I think does. I feel like this does affects a lot of the same decks as Dustblower Spirit. Attach it to this creature instead. If this creature would be killed, you can kill 1 card to it. So it's like, it's pretty much like oh man, why am I forgetting? Gamora? This is a really annoying card. It's not a crazy stat line, but I think it's worth it for what it can like kind of combat against, cards that are or decks that are heavy with, getting cards out of their deck. And then we got the Madman. This one's just funny. 300 stat line for 8 stars. When this creature is played, you can make it unaffected by card abilities and attacks until the end of your turn. Or of your next turn. So basically, it kind of just allows it to do its thing. And for a 300 stat line, it's solid overall. 6.5 out of 10. It's borderline good because, like, yes, it can do its thing for a while, but like it is a bit expensive for what it's doing. It works well with Songbird though, so again, I'm really excited to see what Songbird might do, but like it's hard to say that like a single 2-star creature is going to really affect the game. Anyway, Last Breath. on the other hand, is really cool. When one of your zone Roka creatures is killed, add one creature zone and one battle zone to your planet, then free play that creature into the creature zone. But at the end of your opponent's turn, next turn, kill that creature and remove those zones. So this is good because it does recycle things, at least temporarily. And so I'd say an 8 out of 10. Like, this could definitely do some work. Like, I mean, like, even like something like Scardians, like your son dies and then you can bring it back temporarily to be a nuisance and do some stuff. I'm struggling to think of like examples of why these all would be good, but because that's the thing, like I think overall Roka does lack maybe some memorable cards, so that's why I'm interested to see like the possibility of these doing some great things for Roka. So 8 out of 10. And now we're to Pelisium. Pelisium definitely got some good support, despite all the things that might also make it suck, because all of the free play removal or whatever. When this zone creature is killed, you can remove one empty zone from your opponent's planet. So this works. I think, yeah, something that definitely this Pelisium has struggled with is that its ability has started to become more and more worthless, because the only good card is Duple, because you can because it acts as two creatures for Pelisium's ability, because you need two creatures, smaller creatures, to bring out a big one. But this finally gives you a reason to play smaller creatures, because it's some easy zone removal. 8 out of 10, and put this in tandem with Baby Cranchon. When this creature is being used for the ability of the planet Pelisium, you can free play a galaxy creature. So this is good for the early game and just like getting cards out that you normally wouldn't. And so I give this a 9 out of 10, because you play this with Snatchel, you remove a zone, and you bring out something early on, which is also good, because I mean 5 stars is a bit of like a price to pay, I'd say. And so but I think some of these other cards might make this a little more worth it, like Coral Commander. When this card is cosplayed or free played by the ability of Pelisium, you can free play one of your killed 1 to 3 star Pelisium creatures. This could be like a decently easy way to set up 2 card boards, sort of. It's weird. So 5 stars, of course, with a 240, pretty solid stat line, pretty solid stars. I could see something where it's like you could just do Duple, or you do this or whatever, and then you bring this out, and then you free play, and then you might like free play a Duple, and then you get not only Coral Commander, which is decent, it's borderline great, but I think like it's a bit cost heavy. 5 stars, but you could set, and you could bring out like, you know, a Zetaray or something, something big, which would be good. Including some of these new big cards. So Krito, Beast of the Deep, 350, can swing for 4, 320 for 7 stars. Solid contender with Mystical Beast of the Deep, which are both kind of the same name. 8 out of 10, because when this card is played, each player reveals the top 4 cards of their galaxy. They can free play one of the revealed creatures, which is just very decent for Pelisium. I think where it struggles is it free plays one of the opponent's revealed creatures, which could be a bit problematic, but it's got a solid stat line, and I don't know, I think it definitely is a good option. I think the better option though is Hail Whale. 480, blocks a lot of stuff. It's an 8 star. 280, it means it can only swing for 3, and it's not like crazy good at getting rid of stuff. But when the zone creature is free played, make all zone creatures lose 100 health. Then if any creature becomes 0 as a result, kill it. This is good for getting rid of small creatures really easily, like even in Gaios. I think the only issue is that it does affect your creatures. So they're both 8 out of 10s. I think they're great in theory. I think I'm overall pretty worried, though. Pelisium definitely has a lot of competition ahead of it for Pelisium. As you can tell, Pelisium is my favorite planet. But I think this is solid for what it's doing. Then we got Forgotten Lineage, which is kind of connected to Pelisium. Kind of not. Kill one of your handed creatures that comes from your planet card to add to your hand one galaxy creature that also comes from your planet card that shares exactly one of the same power, health, or stars. So it can't be the exact same creature, but it can sort of do... and so that's why it's good for Pelisium, is because allows you to get cards out, like some of the more stronger cards out faster. So I could see it being used, but I think it's interesting to see what kind of tech you could use with this. It's borderline great. I think it's just very specific. But it has some good potential in terms of what it could do. And now we're to the no planet cards. Oh geez, I'm over an hour. All right, Yugfle. Yugalef. I don't freaking know. 2-star. When you cosplay this creature, you can attach one of your zoned kill or one of your killed 5-star or lower creatures to one of your other zone creatures while it's attached against the attached creature's ability. So this is basically Copex, but kind of better because then you can set up 2 cardboards. I mean, this isn't crazy for what it's doing. So it might work. It might work in some cases. Actually, it does kind of bring back OTK. Because instead of using Copex Helmet, you put Calamask. But again, Upside Down Realm's gone, so I don't know. 7 out of 10. Interplanetary Genius. This one is a 3-star. It has 250 health. Pretty tanky for a 3-star. When this creature is cosplayed, you can add one galaxy to no planet creature or card that mentions no planet to your hand. Just makes no planet decks better, pretty much. Because then one per turn, you can make one zone creature and no planet. Which is whatever. You know? It just means it can't be affected by planet abilities. I think the biggest thing is for a no planet deck, even this is good for setting up Zemia's, kind of the most powerful no planet card. So I give it a 7 out of 10. I think it depends on if Zemius is going to be good. Although Eater of the Cosmos definitely gives some competition, maybe. It's a 5-star and cheap for getting all max stats. Of course, it does come at a price. When this creature is played, each player can kill any number of their handed cards, opponent first. Then they draw that many cards. Also, that creature loses 50 power and health. So it's mostly this would be good if your opponent doesn't want to get rid of cards. Of course, you do get to draw that many cards. It's an 8 out of 10 because theoretically this could be problematic. But it's also, it's a no planet. It doesn't have a lot of synergy. It's just kind of none of these cards. This one doesn't have a lot of synergy. So we'll see. Anyway, Skull Ring. So remember an hour ago when I was talking about how cool Fried Fractal Legs was? Well, this is basically, it's different, but it's a similar thing where it's finally a good way to power up your creatures compared to the Galacta weapons, which were kind of the main way to do this kind of thing. This one, though, the main reason that's good is, first of all, 90 power can make a lot of creatures hit over a lot of things. And also, when the creature is killed, you can pay 1 star to add this creature to this card to your hand. So it just gives an easy way to power up your creatures. And I think this is a really neat card for, and it could definitely put in some work if somebody uses it in a good way. For something like Skelligast. I'm just thinking Skull Ring, Skelligast. Think about it. It goes from 150 to 240, which can already hit quite a few more things than 150. And so we'll see. But 8 out of 10. White flag. When your opponent would gain points, both players gain 2 points instead. So this is kind of the better point turret, because instead of it being so one-sided, it causes ties in a much funnier way, technically, and it has to be a much tighter and closer game for that to even happen. But it does prevent people from winning. So I think it could be a crazy thing if it becomes like sort of a staple. It's good counter to the Thirst Bugs 2 to rely on points. I guess a temporary one, but this is really cool. It's just a better point turret, so are more healthy point turret. Another one that I think has a lot of potential to be like a staple is gigantic. Has anybody like ever thought about that? What's the difference? Anyway, gigantic snowball. When this creature would attack, move one creature from a battle zone back to a creature zone. So it's basically like on the power scale of activators. You got like Beast the Black Hole, which kills as long as one is hitting the planet, you wipe the board. And then you have Planetary Field, which is like you just stop your opponent from attacking. And then you got this one where it's like you stop one guy from attacking. There are a few cards that actually can bypass this because they don't attack in battle zone. But 9 out of 10. I just think this is a good like stall card for some decks. I think Polysium could benefit from this a bit when it's struggling. Like mid-range decks could definitely like use it. Finally, Teklar Border Customs. When your opponent plays a resource card, which this breaks a lot of things. Your opponent makes you apply one of these abilities. Your opponent can only play creatures once this turn. Your opponent can't free play creatures this turn. So this not only breaks some things like Chakra. Like if you put out Tower, GG. But it's like it just generally slows down. Like just for like a G crash, it slows down your opponent from doing anything. And it's like it can only play creatures once this turn is good for like Shias and whatever. And your opponent can't free play is also good for Shias. There's a lot of decks that this can apply to. So 8 out of 10. I think it's not as good as people are saying. That it might, or I think Diamond said that this one would be absolutely insane, but I think it'll definitely see play. But I consider it maybe more of a sideboard card, for some decks, but maybe a main deck for other decks. So it's very flexible, but it does have to be a resource card. Not everything's a resource card. So that is my thoughts on all 65 cards in one video. I hope you enjoyed it and you didn't fall asleep. But if you did fall asleep, that's okay. I think overall the meta is going to be very interesting. We're definitely going to see. I think the important thing for people to realize is if they want this meta to work, they're going to have to experiment with a lot of things. I think we get too comfortable playing decks that we know are good and not trying to combat that. And I'm hoping that we can get some tournaments set up for later this year that really put decks to the test. But I think I kind of implore people to really think about testing as many decks as possible in between tournaments so that you can find something that might be very interesting and play really well into stuff. And overall, the meta, I feel like there's so many, especially these cards, add so many ways for all these decks to combat each other in some way. You know, there's great ways to deal with free playing stuff, but there's also great ways for dealing with things that take Galaxy cards or that that like to use like the feature of free playing Galaxy cards or getting Galaxy cards out of your. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, and I think like all the planets have a lot of potential to be really good. Shias didn't get a lot of support, but Shias is pretty good, and I think will remain to be still pretty good with his chakra. Pero, I think Burbugs will come back, and they'll be really cool. For Sindel, I think Skellies will be even better than before with all the recycling involved, and just like all of Sindel will benefit from the recycling cards. For Syndian, Bugonk is going to be big. Shape Knights might still be big. I implore people to test all of these out because it'll be interesting to see how they play into each other. And then like for like Teklar, you got some really cool support cards to really give it more of an identity of being, all about planning and making sure you know exactly what's going on. Gaia's Thirst Bugs are going to be crazy. And Gaia's Minride, Gaia's just, I think, has some really fun things to do. Like it's all about the traps, not the power. It's about the cards and how they can work around like heavy hitters like in Polysium. And like Polysium itself, I think will do decently. I think and then I think Roka has some cool new cards at its disposal to maybe bring it back into limelight. I think though Roka might not. I don't know. I think like Roka and Polysium might struggle a bit. I think there's like some counter for Polysium, and then for Roka, I think Roka just struggles in general. But I really hope that like some of these new cards could change it. Yeah. So, but I think overall, like every planet has potential. So I implore people to do it, to practice with a bunch of different decks. Try to figure things out. Be smart. Be smart with your deck building. Find some cool stuff to do, and hopefully we'll make some things so that you can become the best Chaos Galaxy player. Some tournaments should suffice. Like I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching, and remember that happiness is a warm